Welcome everyone to our Midweek Exhale, a time of gentleness and pause in the middle of your week. So an opportunity to reset, maybe an opportunity to recharge your batteries before we go into the end of the week. My name is Sharyn, and I am Sharyn with a Y, and I am one half of the Exhale Awakening. And somewhere on your screen, she's above me, so I won't even attempt to try and point. Somewhere on your screen, you'll find Marie, the other half of the Exhale Awakening. And we co-host these sessions. Our sessions always have the same shape in that we use different types of breath work throughout the session. And we always start the breath work with some birdsong, go into the breath work to music, and then finish that breath style with some silence. And in the midweek exhale, we repeat that 4 times. So in other sessions, it's different lengths for different times, but in the midweek exhale, we repeat that 4 times. And the breaths that we are going to do today, just for those of you that like to know what we're doing, we're going to start with some awareness, and then we're going to go into deep breathing right down into the bottom of our lungs, before we move to extended exhale, just allowing our exhale to be much longer than our inhale. And then we'll finish off with coherence breathing, where the inhale and the exhale meet and we invite balance. And we use that kind of form, that kind of style, our signature style, if you like. We use that signature style on purpose. It's not accidental. So the birdsong, both the birdsong and the silence actually move us out of an activated nervous system state, which we call the sympathetic nervous system, and it moves us into a calmer rest and digest or parasympathetic part of our nervous system. And obviously that is a good thing. That is a good thing to do. And that's why this practice recharges you and gets you ready for the second part of your week. But there are some extra little benefits from each of those things. So the silence, I'm doing that first. Didn't know I was going to do that. The silence also allows our body to do the things that our body does without our input. We don't often allow ourselves to be in silence. Quite often, the only time we do that is when we're asleep. And even then, sometimes people will have things playing in the background when we're asleep. But actually, silence is the best way, it's the most effective way for our body to do all of the amazing things that it does without us getting involved. And one of the ones of those that I like the most is that it is in the silence that our brain builds new neural pathways. So just maybe think when we go into the silence that what you're doing is you're just allowing your brain the time and the space to build the new neural pathways that it needs to map whatever has been going on for you in the last, I don't know, days, weeks, months. And the birdsong's a little more primal, I guess. Um, many, many moons ago, um, before we kind of lived the way that we live now, if the birds were playing in the background, our ancestors knew that that the environment that we were in was safe, because the birds disappeared whenever there were any predators around. So if our ancestors could hear the birds, then they knew that their environment was safe. And our body, our cellular memory has not forgotten that. And so when we hear birdsong, it gives us the indication that our environment is safe and our body is able to start to move It's not a switch, but our body is able to start to move from that activated sympathetic state to a calmer parasympathetic state. So maybe just noticing what happens as the birds are singing throughout the sessions today. We have one rule here, and that is to be comfortable. So we really don't want our breathworks to be something that is endured. So the old meditation practices where you couldn't move, and part of the practice was to move you into pain and then see how you could hold it. We don't want to do that. We really don't want to get you to push through anything. That's not how we roll here. So we want to encourage you to look after your physical comfort. So if you feel uncomfortable, we encourage you to move. We encourage you to bring small movements, to bring larger movements, maybe stretching out, maybe curling up, whatever your body needs. We encourage you to do that throughout the breath work. Now you may not, because you may get involved and you may not pay attention, and that's okay too. But if you are aware of some bodily discomfort and you can do something about it, then we encourage you to do so. Obviously, I know that some pain you can't breathe away, and that's fine. Um, we're also not promoting a life of Disney where everything is sparkly and pretty. We do know that you're walking with whatever you're walking with, and that's okay too. The one movement that we discourage you from, in fact, we ask you specifically not to, is getting up, at least getting up quickly. So I understand you're in your homes, and you may well be needing to answer the door, needing to do something in the house that you didn't expect. And if you have to get up, that's fine, but please do it gently. So allow yourself to really make sure that you're steady on your feet before you dash off and do whatever it is that you have to do. Now, having said that, our one rule is be comfortable. This is breath work. And it's breath work for a reason, because there are points in this, and they don't happen every week, they don't happen every breath, but there may well be points in this where it feels like it's work, where you are at the edge of your capacity. And again, we remind you that we don't ask you to push through. We never will ask you to push through. We'll never ask you to breathe harder. We might invite you to try something different, but we will never kind of encourage you to go beyond what you are comfortable with. That said, you may get to the edges of your comfort zone. I call it the frontier of your comfort zone. And quite often, if you just sit with whatever is coming up for you, so whether that's an emotion, a memory, whether it is physical, sometimes I will have tingling or twitches that might not be comfortable. The invitation is just to sit with them, as we would say. So just be aware of them, notice them, continue breathing if it feels comfortable, and if you can, continue breathing in the same way if it feels comfortable and you can. But equally, if it doesn't, then return back to your natural breath rhythm, rest for a little while, rest for the rest of the session if that feels necessary. But if you do feel like you can go back to the breath style that we're practicing, then just rejoining the practice when you feel like you can. Observing and noticing. You will hear us say that a lot. And that is often all that is necessary for something to move through. All that's necessary is for you to be aware of an emotion that you had previously not noticed. And once it's been noticed, it will move through. It's not always the case, but often. And I guess that's the next thing to say. We are going to be, as I said, doing the 4 different breath styles. If they are not possible for you for whatever reason, then adapt what we ask you to do in a way that works for you. So all of our our prompts are invitations, and you can follow them to the letter if they feel good and you feel like you want to. But equally, you can adapt them if it's not possible in your body at all, or it's not possible in your body today, right now. Because something that was possible last week, if you breathed with us last week, may not be possible today, and that's okay. Sometimes what's possible this morning may not be possible this evening. Equally, that's okay. The most important thing you can do is listen to your own body and follow that rule of being comfortable. So you can do this practice seated or lying down, and I'm going to encourage you now to make yourself comfortable, whether you are going to do the practice seated or lying down. You might want to have some water to hand, or some clear liquid. You might want a blanket, or you might want to be able to take layers off in case you get too hot. Just gathering together whatever you need to support your session. And always remembering our one rule of being comfortable. So with all of that said, we're going to make a start. Have I covered everything? Marie, I'm getting a nod, so I'm okay. So with all of that said, let's get going. So we're going to start with some breath awareness. So the invitation here is to become aware. And I'm going to guide you through a few ways that you can become aware. And again, remembering that these are only invites. And I would invite you, first of all, to be aware of your comfort. So notice the surface that you are seated on or lying upon. And just check in if there are any little micro movements or maybe bigger movements that need to happen to make you feel physically comfortable. And just make those movements being kind to yourself. And noticing how, or maybe even imagining, instead of lying down upon something or sitting upon something, imagine the surface rising up to meet you, holding you without any effort on your part. And see if you can relax into that. If you can just let go a little bit and surrender to that surface supporting you. And as you begin to just relax physically, you might begin to notice other things that you're carrying. So maybe it might be what's been happening in your day so far, something that's on your mind, and just noticing, being aware. And I'm not going to encourage you to empty your mind of it. I know that that's not possible. But I wonder maybe if you can just actively pop it to one side and maybe pick it up as you leave later on. There doesn't need to be resolution, just a rest. And if you can't, don't worry. You can spend this breath work just sitting with it on that frontier, on the edge of that comfort zone. And beyond the surface that you're seated on or laid upon, I invite you to feel into what is happening in your senses. So perhaps you can hear things going on around you or see things even. Maybe there are things in your inner sight, memories that are coming up perhaps. Just being aware of those sensations that are moving through your body, and again just noticing them and allowing them to be. Allowing them the space to move through. As we encourage all emotions here in this space, we encourage you to allow them to move. And so just notice what you're feeling. If indeed you can put a word or a description to it. And then just begin to notice the way that you are breathing. Notice how the breath is coming into your body, maybe through your nose, maybe through your mouth. And then on the exhale, notice how the breath is leaving your body. Again, through the nose, through the mouth. And as you inhale, you might notice your body moving, expanding. You might notice some parts of your body moving, maybe your shoulders or perhaps your belly. And as you exhale, you might feel the body slumping a little, relaxing, and space appearing in the body. And we're into the last minute now, so just noticing the little things that happen when you breathe and when you bring the focus to your breath. And even though I haven't asked you to change anything, you might notice that just the very act of noticing is perhaps slowing down the breath a little. And we're going to move now into our first time of silence. And just let your natural breath rhythm continue. And use the silence as a moment to rest.
And as the birdsong brings the silence to a close, just noticing what it felt like to be in silence. And knowing that however it felt, it's perfect. And in our next segment, I'm going to invite you to making your breath a little bit deeper. So before the music begins, just notice where your breath's landing right now. Without judging it or changing it, just noticing where it's landing. Maybe it's your chest, and maybe it's your belly. Just noticing that. And as the music begins, I'm going to invite you to bring your breath deeper. So bring your breath deep to the bottom of your lungs. And maybe you want to feel that. You might want to put your hand on your belly. But equally, when we breathe into the bottom of our lungs, you might feel it in your sides. So putting your two hands maybe on your sides and seeing, can you feel movement there? And without pushing or forcing, gently bringing the breath deeper. And maybe you can't feel it in your sides. Maybe you can just feel it in your belly, and that's okay. And as you breathe, you don't have to fill your lungs on every breath. Just bring the breath deep. And maybe you've noticed that your breath has slowed down because you're bringing it deeper. Maybe it hasn't. And as you breathe deeply, maybe you begin to notice a little bit of movement in your lower back as your lungs expand in every direction. Keeping that breath gentle and deep. Maybe bringing it in through your nose, if you're not already doing that, if that's possible right now. keeping your focus on that breath going deep into your lungs. Maybe you also notice that your body's beginning to soften a little bit. Because when we bring our breath deep, we're telling our bodies that we're safe. Breathing at your own pace. There's no length of a breath you need to do here. Just whatever length feels right. And we're in our final 90 seconds, so really focusing on bringing that breath to the very bottom of your lungs. And really noticing where you feel the movement when the breath's going that deeply. Maybe at the end of your next exhale, letting go of that focus on the breath going deep and just allowing your natural breath rhythm back. As we move towards the silence and just resting in the silence.
And as the birdsong begins once again, just noticing how it felt to be in silence. Maybe how it felt different this time, or maybe how it felt just the same. Just allow the birds for a moment to do what the birds do well, allowing that sense of safety right down to yourselves. And for our next breath, I'm going to invite you to do something very, very simple. To just extend the exhale. So just make the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. And you could do this in whichever way it suits you. You can breathe in through the nose and then maybe let the exhale out through the mouth. Or you may do both in and out through the nose. You can choose with this. You might not have the ability at this moment to breathe in through the nose, so allow just gentle breaths in and out through the mouth too. The thing to do though is to just let that exhale get a little bit longer. You might start by just noticing which is naturally longer for you. Is your inhale longer than your exhale? Or is it the other way around? Your exhale is naturally longer than your inhale. Either way, we're going to make the exhale just a little bit longer. So you can do that by shortening the inhale a little. Or you can just consciously let the exhale just be a little softer, so it takes longer to empty your lungs. Tuning into your body and doing what's most comfortable for you. Remembering it doesn't have to be the longest ever exhale, just slightly longer than your inhale. And just keep bringing your attention back to your breath, just noticing. Noticing how the exhale feels. And always keeping in mind to be comfortable. And as we progress through this breath, you may feel like you can extend your exhale just a little bit more. But equally, you might feel like you've done enough. Just listening and responding to your body's needs. We're in the last minute now, so if you have drifted, just bringing your attention back to extending the exhale. And perhaps as we move into the silence, just becoming aware of what's happened in your body as you've begun to extend the exhale. Does anything feel different? And on your next exhale, letting the breath return to its natural rhythm. And once again, resting in the silence.
And as the silence begins again, just Just taking a few moments to reflect on that silence as birdsong begins again. And just noticing what was there. And again, what was different and what was exactly the same. And for our final breath style in this session, we're going to invite you, as we often do, to coherence breathing, balanced breathing, harmonic breathing. And all we're inviting you to do in this segment is to bring your inhale and your exhale to the same length. And you might want to do that by counting in your head. Or you might want to do it by using your fingers, bringing the tip of each finger to the tip of your thumb as you inhale and as you exhale. Or you might just want to set the intention and allow your body to do it. Just finding a rhythm that feels right for you in this session, and forgetting about any other time you've done this type of breathing. Finding the rhythm that's right in this moment, without forcing or pushing or feeling the need to achieve any length. And if it's possible, bringing the breath gently in and out through the nose. But if it's not possible, then bringing it in and out gently through the mouth. Breathing softly and gently. And really listening to your body here. Is the count or the length you're using, is that right for this moment? Maybe it needs to be lengthened slightly. Maybe it needs to be shortened slightly. And noticing as your breaths become balanced, do you feel that balance anywhere else? And what does that feel like? And again, there's no right or wrong answers. Taking a moment to notice, does the breath still feel okay? Maybe it's beginning to feel a little forced. And adjusting if it is. Maybe you notice your focus is beginning to drift a little bit. And when you notice, just gently bringing it back. Maybe checking, does your breath need to be made a little bit longer or a little bit shorter at this stage? Keeping your focus on the gentle inhale and the gentle exhale. And soon it'll be time to rest in the silence again. And maybe you'll bring the balanced breathing with you, and maybe you'll bring your natural breath rhythm, and knowing that either is absolutely perfect.
And as the birdsong brings the silence to a close for the final time in this breathwork, there is still the invitation to notice how you feel now. Maybe being aware of anything that has changed since you first came into the Zoom room. Maybe bringing some little micro movements back into your body. Perhaps knowing that the end is near. Maybe you're noticing some little bits of discomfort and wanting to move and just bring some release back to them. Either way, beginning to actually feel the edges of your body once again. Maybe you might move your fingers or your toes. Maybe you might do some gentle tapping on your chest, perhaps. I always like it on my neck and up into my skull. Just gently tapping, bringing yourself back into your body space and becoming aware of the room around you, the place that you're occupying in the room. Maybe even blinking your eyes open and taking a look around and noticing some of the familiar objects in the room. And finally remembering that you are not doing this alone, that you are in a Zoom room. And slowly beginning to bring your attention back to the screen in front of you.
As you slowly come back, and there is no rush, I'm going to draw your attention to our usual links that we share. The recording for this session will go on YouTube and our YouTube channel, and the link for YouTube is in the chat. And it will also go up in our Exhale library. And I suppose the difference is there's no ads in our Exhale library. And it goes up in the free tier. So if you click the link, you can join the free tier. It's called the Threshold. And you get the recordings of this. You also get Breath of the Week, and there are other things in there that you have access to as well. And if you do click the link to join the community, you will notice that there are other tiers. And the tier that's the beating heart of our community is Acorns. And in Acorns, we have we hold each other in throughout the month in birdsong. And what that means simply is that you choose your day. Before the month begins, you choose your day. And for an hour and 11 minutes on that day, in your own way, in your own home or outside, you set the intention of holding the community. And then you do whatever it is that calls to you to do that day. And people do all sorts of different things. People go walking in nature. Maybe people sit in silence. I do like to sit in silence. People do breath work. Sometimes people have said sometimes they dance and do very active things like that I don't do. But love the idea that someone else on some day somewhere is dancing to hold me in community. It just feels really special. There are other things in Acorns too, including a space where we gather just to talk, just to chat once a week. But you can click on the link and have a look at that. We need 30 breath keepers so that we can cover every day of the month, and we're not quite there yet. So if it is something that you're called to do, please have a look and see. Yeah, see if being part of a community like that calls to you. There's also details of our two longer breathwork sessions. Both of them are 2 hours. The next one is Anchoring the Exhale, where we breathe with the natural astrology, and that's on the fourth Friday of the month. And it's Virgo next time. And the deeper exhale is where we breathe with the Celtic trees. And that's on the second Sunday of the month. And our next one there is Spindle. And the final link is, as usual, our directory listing. And you can contact us there if you're not in the community. If you send us a message, we will get it. And you can also, if you feel called, you can also leave us a review. And we do like to get reviews. So that's all the notices. The only thing left to say is please be gentle with yourself. It was a gentle session, but things still are inclined to maybe bubble up gently to the surface, and just being very gentle, just remembering that, yeah, you did a thing, and that thing can continue to come back. So eating nourishing food, keeping yourself hydrated, maybe getting outside over the next day or so, surrounded by people, maybe people who fill you up, and journaling. Having a journal to hand and just writing down things that come up can be very useful too, but really being very gentle with yourself. So all that being said, we're going to put off the recording and then we're going to open the room for the people who are here with us if anybody feels they would like to have their voice heard.